Welcome to Branson Spotlight, a special edition with my very good friend Andrei Soumiatin. And Andrei's just released a new book coming out, Can Love Be for Life? 5 Essential Steps to Keeping Passion in Your Marriage. And I find it fascinating because, Andrei, I have to say, you're one of my oldest friends here in Branson.
Absolutely.
And we worked together on the showboat, you and your lovely wife, who I'm sure had a big part in this book.
Oh, absolutely. She's a co-writer, actually.
Co-writer. And you guys, you're an inspiration to us. You really are, professionally, and your relationship is just beautiful. So tell me about your book a little bit. Tell me, what does it entail? What does it cover?
Let me just kind of start. I'm very passionate about two things in my life. Now, number one, it's entertainment. I've been in entertainment for 35 years, love it. And 2 years ago, you think you grow younger, but your body does not grow younger.
Correct, yes.
And after doing acrobatic gymnastics, we said, okay, it's time for us probably to kind of step aside. One of my favorite comedians. You're actually one of my favorite comedians.
Oh, well,
so
thank you.
You're great. You're wonderful. But anyway, one of them, Groucho Marx, he said one time, it's better to retire 3 years earlier than 3 days later.
Right.
So we retired 2 years ago, and everybody said, guys, why are you doing? You're still in peak form. We said, well, it's time.
Right.
So what's my another passion? My wife, my marriage. Mm-hmm. So I've been married for 30 years.
30 years.
For 30 years.
That's impressive these days.
Thank you.
Most marriages don't last that long anymore. I think times have changed, it seems like.
It changed.
It's become too easy to get divorced and to move on, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And I'll tell you an interesting story. In Russia, I'm born in Ukraine, but I married my wife is from Russia, from Moscow. And we were in our wedding rings on the right hand.
Okay.
It's a right thing to do. It's an old Orthodox tradition.
Right.
In American opposite, you wear it on the left.
Correct.
Because it's closer to the heart, so it's on the left. But interesting thing, when you divorce in Russia, Ukraine, you take ring from the right and you put it in the left.
I see. Oh, yeah. So that would be confusing for somebody in the U.S.
It means you've been there and you're available.
Uh-huh.
So when I came to the United States 25 years ago and I saw so many people wearing the wedding ring on the left, and I was like, something wrong with this country. Everybody divorces screaming, I'm available.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That is.
Also, it's close to the truth.
Right.
55% of marriages, or first marriages, end up in divorce. The second marriage end up in divorce 75%. But interestingly enough, third, it's about 75% of good things. So it's just 25. So third time is a charm.
Yeah, exactly.
Third time is a charm.
Yeah, like the saying goes.
So when we came here and, after 30 years of marriage, I was kind of thinking, and, especially my friends grew up older, and I start thinking that my friends start getting challenges with the marriages.
Sure.
And some of them get divorced. And I was thinking, what's going on? What's the difference? Why our marriage is different than, somebody else?
Right.
And kind of let that thinking, and it seems like we figured out the magic formula.
And what's that?
The magic formula is pretty simple. That's why I read the book. And the magic formula is it's a 5 essential steps. The number one step, what we do, we are lay down as a foundation. It's a commitment.
Right. Okay.
So commitment is number one. If you're not committed, nothing will happen.
Committed to making the relationship work, is what you're saying,
right.
and to each other.
You're absolutely right. It's a commitment. When I get married, it was for life.
Right.
I met my wife, and it's for life. So this is number one. Or you go in a relationship, you want to be with this person and do your best, to commitment.
So here in the U.S., the fact that people go to Vegas and just get married, that's one of the biggest problems. Have a night out partying, and there you go. So they're lacking that number one.
You're absolutely right. And again, I consider myself marriage as a building. We build relationship. It's a saying, building marriage, building relationship. So if you want to build something, you need to have a solid foundation.
Correct, yeah.
So that's why we have a commitment. Another thing, when you build something, it's a 3 crucial part in the marriage. Like many people say, okay, we are spouses and it's good enough. Unfortunately not. You need to be not only spouses, you need to become a friend, you need to become a lover.
Okay.
So if not have a friends and lover, your spouse or yourself eventually will look for someone on the side.
They look for that outside.
To become a friend with somebody or unfortunately lovers.
Right.
So instead of just build one wall, I call it walls, spouse wall, friend, and lover. So, and when you build all these walls simultaneously, it's become a pyramid.
Right. Okay.
So sometimes I call it timeless love pyramid.
Okay.
But what's interesting enough, I don't know if you know, but the pyramid, it's the strongest geometric structure.
Right.
It's the
But
strongest
you have
in
to
the
have
world.
all three parts.
You're absolutely right. They need to be connected.
Two.
You're absolutely
you're
right. And also the Egyptian pyramid, it's one of the 7 wonders in the world. They've been in business, not, but for 11,000 years, the only that exists right now.
Yeah.
All of the wonder is gone. So it tells you something, it's a pyramid. So you have to build all of 3 walls, they need to be connected, they need to be intact. So number 1, it's a commitment, so it's a foundation.
Correct.
Then you build 3 walls, spouse, lover, and friend. You build your pyramid of love, I would say.
Right.
And the 5th, it's one most important the steps of all, it's called connection.
Connection between each other.
Between each other.
Yeah.
Because many people says communication. Communication is cool, but how we can communicate if we're connected?
Right.
You know?
And you're talking connection like similar interests, or what type of connection do you mean? Just you need to be close to the other person.
You're absolutely right. Like, here is the thing. Like, the connection is come from the word actually rapport. You probably heard about, you're an entertainer. If you go on stage, and you probably know you're live entertainers, you know more than many people. Every show it's a different, right?
Yeah, it's a different world every
So
show.
sometimes you can have rapport, sometimes not. It depending of what kind of crowd, and you have as an entertainer, especially for you are wearing so many hats. As a performer, you wear a hat as a host, then as a comedian, then as a magician.
Right.
So it's so many hats. But number 1, you have to create rapport like that.
Yes.
Because if not, they will
It's a
miss you.
lost cause.
Here you go, last cause. I like that. Same right here. If you don't have a connection with your wife or with your girlfriend or wherever it is, you don't have a communication. I'll give you an example. Like, I'm coming at home, right? And I'm excited to tell my wife some news.
Okay.
I come in right here. I'm coming from a different world, I would say. I'm in my different atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Right.
But my wife, she's kind of sad. I don't know what type of news, but she said she's not herself. If I have exciting news, I want to pour exciting news on her, she will not apprehend.
Right.
We're not on the same frequency. I call it a frequency. It's a small story, like Silver City. We love Silver City.
Yes.
So long time ago, about 10 years ago, Anthony, our son, right?
Yeah.
He's 27 now. So now it was, oh my gosh, it was 15 years ago.
He's 27.
He's 27
I didn't
now.
realize he was
Yeah,
27.
I've been married for 30 years.
Yeah, right.
He's 27. So when he was 12, went to Silver City, went one of the biggest rides. And that time, there was no cell phone, it was Walkie Talkie.
Yeah.
Walkie Talkie. So we usually give Anthony Walkie Talkie, have 1 for hour, and he would run, do some stuff, and we will communicate, hey, Anthony, come have lunch or whatever. So he came and he said, Dad, it has a new ride. I think it was the Plunge or whatever, the brand new ride. Let's
I'm not
do
a ride
it.
guy, so.
Me too.
Yeah.
My wife, she hates rides.
Yeah, me too.
But he said, Andrei, Dad, let's go. I said, Marina, you want? He said, yeah, go, just go.
Yeah.
So we gave Anthony's walkie-talkie to her, and we went to ride, and she's supposed to go to, I don't know, watch Pet Zoo or wherever it is, some show. So we were riding there. It was no line. We did it very fast, and then Anthony said, Dad, let's do one more time. I said, well, let's just, contact Marina. We'll see how she's doing. So I walkie-talkie, hey, Marina is here. She's not answering. Anthony said, Dad, she's probably watching the show.
Yeah, right.
I said, okay, let's do right. So that one, it was a line. It took us longer. So instead of half an hour, it took us 45 minutes. So we start calling her again. She's not answering. We start to be worried. What's going on?
So you and Anthony go back to her.
Right.
And she's sitting there a little upset.
Oh, yeah, you need to look her face.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, Anthony, you go, you explain. She said, no, Dad, you go.
Right.
So we came here and said, hey, Marina, I'm sorry. We were riding the rides and you tried to call her, on the walkie-talkie. She said, no, you didn't call. Your guys have so much fun, you forgot about me.
Yeah, left poor mom sitting there. Yeah.
Exactly. So I pick it up. Look, Marina, I got the walkie-talkie, kind of push the button. Hello, Marina, could you hear me? And I noticed her walkie-talkie, she holding hands, no answer, nothing. I thought, okay, that's weird.
Right.
So I take her walkie-talkie, push
To try
her,
it.
and nothing coming out in mine. So when I start trying to figure out, I noticed that we always, when Anthony was walking, our channel was always our channels on channel 4.
Right.
So on the same frequency.
Yeah.
So Anthony, when he was walking, 12 years old, he was running all around. He would put on different channels and pick up somebody else.
Oh, he was talking to other people.
Exactly. Then he forgot to switch. So her channel was 5, our channel was 4.
So you could blame the whole thing on him.
Exactly. So I blame.
Right.
But here's what interesting thing. Our connection is kind of like a walkie-talkie. If you're on different frequencies and different channels, you really cannot hear each other.
Right.
And actually, it was interesting research by Harvard University. They were researching the human brains. And they said that it's really these human brains, when they in tune, the human brains in the same frequency.
They sync up.
They sync up. That's what it is. They did it's a pretty cool research. No, it's not in Harvard. It's also in Norwegian University. It's name of the Dr. Klogan. She did that. But so this is like coming back to connection when we entertain you. Sometimes we really feel like we connected with the audience, and it's like we feel great.
Yeah.
So somehow it's
no better feeling there. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's not no better feeling. Sometimes it's like a grinding, so you try to get the hooks, how we get connected. And eventually you did that, but you work harder.
Right.
Same thing right here. When I come, I'm rushing up to work from work, and my wife is sitting home with her, wherever it's this, in her own frequencies. And instead of, for me, try to communicate her immediately, I need to get in the same sync.
Right.
I need to figure out what's wrong or how it is. And then there's so many different things how you can do it by creating rapport. It's a commonality, it's seminality, all other different things. But the connection, it's one of the most important things. Like
Agreed.
When you become dating, how you become dating? You probably find out what you have in common, right? Then when you do that, then you find out what's similar interest. You like the movies, or you like dancing, or you like some food, or you have kids, or she likes kids. That's kind of stuff. Then you have a connection, and then you can get together in the same frequency.
You can sync up.
Exactly. So without syncing up from very beginning to lay foundation of commitment, that's the number one thing. You need the same thing. Are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, I want to do that. Are you sure? Yes. So let's do it. Then when you build the individual wall, the spouse or friends or lover, it's the same thing. It needs to be connection throughout all the relationship when you build the pyramid. That's basically what it is.
Now, in your book, do you relay these stories? Do you tell personal stories of your life?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's a unique life being an entertainer, which you worked with me on the Showboat for years. You were in the Moscow circus before coming to the U.S. And then you moved on and you did a circus show at the Yakov Theater, which was, I would say, semi-biographical.
It is. It was based on a love story, yes.
Yeah, it was a great story.
Thank you.
And I love the entire theme going. It was an actual story and not just a show. But the nice thing about that show, too, is you got to showcase what I assume are some of your friends, other entertainers that you brought to be part of it. It was a circus, very much so, as part of the story. But our lifestyle is so unique in that you come off stage, and like you were saying, you have that emotional high that your spirit is really revved up, and you come home. And I have trouble with my relationships because I'm in that mode. People are clapping for you. They want you to sign things after the show. 15 minutes later, I walk in the door at home, and my wife says, "Will you take out the trash? Will you change the kids' diapers? Will you?" And you have to sync back up again.
You're absolutely right.
One of you has to adjust.
One of you has to adjust.
Where in your relationship, you were both entertainers. And by the way, your wife was one of the most beautiful dancers in the show, and she worked in several ballets.
She worked with Bolshoi Theater in Moscow. Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that. No. So you were lucky. You had that connection. You had that already. It's difficult for some people, though. And I imagine not just for entertainers, but other people with jobs, a lawyer that's been in court all day, comes home, police officers, and that sort of thing. So does your book give recommendations then as to how to get that connection back or how to keep the connection? Do you give your advice? Have you interviewed other people or anything about that?
Absolutely, yeah. What I did when I was working on the book, so number one, I thought, okay, one of my advantages, it's my marriage, 30 years of marriage. And I've been blessed with that. But number one thing, it's not just a marriage, it's a passionate marriage. Like I give you an example, 55% of divorced people, but 45% that in marriage, if you look, how many of them really happy?
Right.
How many of them really truly passionate about themselves? So it's another thing. And I tried to read so many books, but another thing, I graduated from Tony Robbins and Claude Madden's University. So I'm certified relationship educator and a divorce preventer. So I'm certified. So I kind of try to get it on different level. And another thing, working with my book, I interview about 500 different couples.
Oh, wow.
Interview 500 couples.
Wow. Okay.
To find out what the magic ingredient. And it was interesting, when they are, if they would be married for 20 years or older, I would ask them same question, what is your secret? And interestingly enough, they have a same trend.
What's that?
Like some of them would say, okay, it's a commitment. Some would say it's the Lord. Some would say, well, it's a God-given. And other people would say, we promised, we make a vows. So they tell you it's a commitment.
Right.
And others would say, she's my best friend. Another would say, he's a keeper. So that will tell you, they are really connected as a spouse.
Yeah, they have that connection.
And other people will say, okay, he provides for everything for me, or she cooks for me. So you can really tell what's really important for them, what kind of wall, like a main, I would call the structure bearing wall.
The load bearing wall.
The load bearing wall, what it is. But all of them basically, and I actually state in my book, so all of them kind of validate my theory that you have to build all three walls. Your relationship, your marriage should be passion. That's what it is.
Yes.
So it's asking you a question about the suggestion and how to fix it. Yes, I do. Actually, it has a website. So if you have a book, you read on the book, then you can go on the website, and it's called Practical Tips for Relationship Needs.
And this is your website?
It's my my relationship. It's called spouseleverfriend.com.
Okay.
And if you go there, it's a special section that's devoted for different things how you can improve.
Okay. And we'll put the little link right down here at the bottom. So,
Okay.
So check that out.
Yeah,
that's
thanks.
there.
So basically what it is, the reason why I wrote this book, to kind of, number one, to pay kind of my due for community. I owe so much for community in Branson, for United States in general.
Right.
To come here, they accepted me, who am I, and we're being successful every day. If I look back to Ukraine, my home country, it's a war right now.
Yeah.
And I was looking, okay, where I'm right now, and it just been fortunate and blessed, So that's kind of my way to say thank you. But another thing, unfortunately, my mom and dad divorced, and I was 20 years old. You think, hey, 20 years old, not big deal. No, it was a big deal. I was devastated. And my sister was 13 years old, and I have tremendous effect of her. So literally, I'm doing that for parents who has a kids right now. So just give them a hope that you can fix it.
Right.
You can fix your relationship and give it, if it's not for you, give it for the kids.
Yeah, and the kids learn from the parents. So
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So that way, they'll be inspired, but at the same time, it's a practical thing. So you can go and see what you can do immediately to improve your relationship.
And I've met your mom. She's the sweetest woman. She's been to the show, and your mom and your sister, they come to visit you here. And also this book, you've worked on it for years, haven't you? Because I remember years ago where you brought it up and finally coming out.
Finally, 5 years later.
5 years. So this is something that you've put your heart and your soul into. It's not something you just did. And I know from following you on Facebook that you are big into the Tony Robbins. Constantly, you mentioned Tony, you go to the seminars and everything, and he's quite an inspiration to you.
Oh, he's huge inspiration. I'll tell you more. He gave me an idea to write a book. I'll give you example.
Have you spoken with him? Have you talked with him? Or
actually, I did not talk to him. It's 3,000 people, and
right.
he's like a god right there.
Yeah.
So, but he walked by through me. I saw he's tall guy.
He's a very tall man.
A giant.
Yeah, I've seen him in person. He's very
but
tall.
I was sitting so close, so it's kind of like, and I think he personally talked to me. He probably glanced a couple times to me and kind of, So
well, he has that way when he's talking. I've seen him speak, and you feel like he's speaking right to you.
Definitely. So his biggest thing is that Tony believed that. He said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So to become successful in any field as an entertainer or a writer or a cook or chef or a relationship, you need to figure out what do you want, and then you find out the person that you really would like to be like him. He calls it modeling.
Right.
It's kind of pretty cool concept. I'll give you an example. If you want to learn how to bake a cake, so if you don't know how to, you are asked a cook, right?
Right.
But sometimes cook, they said, you know what, I forget, I don't remember. Really don't remember? No, I don't remember. Okay, let's do this. I will follow you, and I'll write down every step. So if you do that, if you write down, if in person don't remember, okay, he can take so much flour, they can do sugar, whatever, and he mix it together. You recorded, here's your model for successful cake. So that kind of give me an idea. What if, because we've been married for 30 years and we know what our ingredients are, what if people who would like to have a success like us just follow that?
Right.
We show them how to bake a nice...
Yeah, so you become the model. For
exactly. That's the whole idea from Tony Robbins,
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm looking forward to reading the entire book, actually. But real quick, I want to talk about your career here in Branson. You performed for years. For those of you that don't know, Andrei and his wife, I wouldn't exactly say acrobats. What would you?
Acrobatic adagio.
Acrobatic adagio. So as you were saying earlier, very physical. But you also have quite a comedy side to you.
Yeah, thank you.
I loved your clown character that you
Appreciate
do. And great bits. The plunger thing I'll never forget. When you were growing up, is this something that your parents, because they were together until you were 20, did they encourage this in you?
Well, actually, my dad was Soviet paratrooper, special forces.
Whoa, that's
Tough
totally
guy,
different.
tough
Yeah,
guy,
totally different.
My mom, she was a doctor, so imagine my mom wants me to go to the to the college
And you want to be a clown?
Yeah, no, she won't do me a clown.
No, I said you wanted to go.
I want
yeah.
to be a clown. Yeah,
Right.
I want to be a gymnast all my life. But I watch Olympics. Said, oh, that will be great to be a gymnast. But at that time, I was 14. It was too late.
Right.
Because in the Soviet gymnastics, they'll pick you when you are 4 years old, very late. So, but I saw I was on leave that time in Ukraine, and I saw the advertisement for circus school, and they have a gymnastics program.
Right.
That's how I went there. And then I fell in love with comedy, specifically Charlie Chaplin was my hero.
Oh, yeah.
Still is. So that's how I become a clown. And if you clown in Soviet Union, in Soviet circus, it's one of the highest, art of form, like a big, like
It's an
ballet.
art form
It's
there.
an art form.
It's different than what people here think of as a clown.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not somebody dressed up going to a kid's party.
It is.
Yeah, it's an art form.
It's an art form. And clown, one of the main characters in Soviet circus. So to become a clown, I had to do many other things: juggling, magic, the gymnastics, acrobatics. So that's become our forte, basically. Yeah.
And did you meet your wife? When did you meet her? Did you meet her when you were in school, when you were in circus school, or after? How did you guys actually
Well,
meet?
it's actually a cool story. It's in my book, but it's a cool story. We met and we were going to Black Sea Resort for kids. My wife, she works for the Bolshoi, it's a dancer. So it was summertime. It's a resort for kids, for parents who work in the Bolshoi. And she and me, we were hired to supervise them. And it was cool. It's a Black Sea. It's a resort.
It's beautiful.
I was 19 years old.
Is that where Baku?
Yeah,
that area. I know.
It's a Baku area, but it was Anapa. It's close by. So, but it was cool, interesting. I met her in a train station. So she was going with the kids, and I supposed to fly next day because I have a performance in Moscow. So, and I felt she was beautiful, gorgeous, ballerina.
This is like a movie.
Yeah, it's like a movie. And I introduced myself, and they were going on a train, and she has a suitcase. And to be a gentleman, I said, "Can I carry your suitcase?" She said, "Yeah, sure." So I got her suitcase. I carry on the platform, in the tree. Tell her goodbye. Tell her I'll see you, tomorrow. And I left. So 3 hours later, I got a telegram. It was no cell phone in 1984. I got a telegram. It says, "Where is my suitcase?"
Oh, she thinks you have her suitcase. Yeah.
Because I said, "Hey, I'll carry for you." And I was like, "Oh wow, shoot!" Then I noticed I put that on the suitcase where all suitcases were.
Right.
And I didn't put on the train.
Oh.
So I guess.
So now she's thinking that this guy took her suitcase.
So I went to Lost and Found. Gone. So I fly next day. Walked to the to camp. She was running to me wearing like some some sweatpants and t-shirts she borrowed from friends.
Right.
Where's my suitcase? I said, "Sorry, it's gone."
And she probably has the same look that she had with you and your son in the Walkie Talkie.
Worse.
I can imagine.
She didn't say anything, started crying, and left. That's how we met. That's our date. I lost her suitcase with all her clothes, her passport, everything.
Yeah, and that's the beginning of a foundation
That's
of a
the beginning
30-year
of a
relationship.
And I said to myself, to my friends, right now I have only one choice: to marry her. Then she has everything.
Right. Oh,
And my friends said, "Oh, come on, man, everything will be all right." So Harris commitment right there.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. That reminds me of something you would see like with Clark Gable or something at a train station.
Train station, exactly, yeah.
So you got used to that look early.
Yeah, that helps. That helps, yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, but right now you guys have, I don't know, semi-retired from entertaining, and you travel quite a bit. And your wife is a fantastic artist. She displayed her work here close to Branson in Eureka Springs about a year ago, I'd say. And no, she was very successful at that. Your son, I'm following his career because we're friends, and he's following in your footsteps. I mean, I watched his progress. Anthony's very much into the internet, Facebook, all that. and he was posting his progress working on the wheel, the steer wheel. And so my wife and I actually would watch it because he would post attempting to do this. And you would see it build over time. Yeah. And now he's a performer
he performs the Vikings cruise line
on the Viking cruise line. Yeah. And I'm still following him because he posts all the pictures. It's beautiful there. Yeah. And he just posted one last night that was incredible. But you must be really proud of that, him following in your footsteps.
Yeah.
And he's a good kid.
He's a good kid. Yeah.
But he started performing with you when he was very little.
Well, he started on unicycle. You probably know that, yeah.
And here in Branson, it's in the Ripley's. Is it still there? Where he does a unicycle that has no seat.
No seat, no frame, yes.
Fascinating. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. When I know when he brings it out, because he's one of the first acts I ever saw.
Really?
I came here and he was opening for another magician in town. And I went and I see him bring the wheel out and he gets on it and I thought, whoa, what's happening here? Right. Then he took the second one and rolled it. And he jumps back and forth, and I thought, no. My mind, and that was before I started working in Branson, and I turned to the person I'm with, and I said, I don't stand a chance in this town, because look at this. And it's the opening act. But he has a beautiful wife, and they're committed. They have that whole foundation and stuff, and it's nice to read their posts back and forth. But you must be just so proud of that, you and your wife. But when exactly do you think your book will be out?
My book will be out, my birthday is February 19. So I said, it would be nice if I have published my book and my book become Amazon bestseller on February 19. The whole idea, on February 19, it become Amazon bestseller. So that's what it is.
Oh, that's the goal. At least you aimed.
I am right there, yeah.
Aim high.
Aim high, that's right.
There.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading the entire book. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. And be sure to check out Andrei's book. I'm going to put a link to his website down here, and we'll do a special announcement when it comes out. Awesome. We'll put it on the news. Thank you, Andrei.
Oh, my pleasure. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.